Okay. What's up, guys? Today's a special one. We're joined by someone who's played at the absolute highest levels of the game. Kyle Turris, 14-year NHL veteran, third overall pick in the 2007 draft, and a former captain of Team Canada at the World Championships. Played over 750 games in the NHL and helped lead Canada at the gold at the World Juniors. And today he's here to help us understand what it really takes to go the distance in the sport. Kyle, again, really appreciate you doing this. And before we jump in, could you just give a quick intro on who you are, maybe a bit about your path through hockey for the players watching?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I born and raised in New Westminster, British Columbia. I played minor hockey in New West and then at the North Shore Winter Club for 5 years, and I played junior B for the Grandview Steelers for a year, and then played 2 years with Burnaby Express in the BCHL before going on scholarship to the University of Wisconsin, and then moving on to Phoenix Coyotes for 3 years, and then traded to Ottawa for 7, and Nashville for 3, and Edmonton for 2. So I've been very fortunate to have the experiences I've had, and thankful for the game of hockey. I have a wife and 3 kids, and I'm now retired, and I'm the general manager at the North Shore Winter Club. So I'm back where I started.
Awesome, great intro. We'll start with this. When you were trying to break into the NHL, what did your day-to-day training actually look like in terms of like the preparation, the on ice, and the gym?
Yeah, I mean, when you're young, I was, 18 years old. I played 3 games at the end of the season, end of my college season with Phoenix. And then that summer, it was, doing anything I could to get stronger and faster, and be ready for training camp the next year to make the team. Yeah, I mean, I'd work out kind of five days a week. Every weekday, every morning, I'd work out, and then I'd be on the ice kind of 3 or 4 times a week. And then every year, I loved leading up to training camp before I flew out to go to or drove to Phoenix. I'd always rent ice for a week at Moody Park Arena, and my buddies Colton Gillies and Patrick Wierkosh would come and skate with me, and my dad would run us through our paces, and it was just a very intense boot camp to get us in shape, kind of a last push for training camp in the coming weeks. So I always look forward, as painful and frustrating as it was to feel that out of shape and depleted every day. I always look forward to it because it was fun to spend time with my buddies and do it with my dad.
Yeah, I mean, it got you ready, so it seemed to work out in the long run.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And if you could go back when you were around 16 years old, knowing everything you know now, what would you have done differently, if anything?
Honestly, I'm not sure I would have done anything differently when I was 16 years old on. Um, I would have I mean, ultimately, when I was 19, I ended up having back surgery, and I think it had to do with me lifting too heavy without the right form in the gym. And I think it started with that, and then kind of wear and tear and playing. It it got worse and worse to the point that I needed surgery, and it affected my livelihood. So I think I would have been a little more cautious on the lifting side. But in terms of the actual path I took, I wouldn't have changed anything.
Great.
I mean, the BCHL at the time was an unbelievable league. I mean, the Victoria Grizzlies had the Ben brothers and Bozak, and Patty Wierkosh was on our team. Brad Hunt was on our team. Riley Nash in the interior. I mean, there's just NHL players littered throughout the league, and then going to university. It's University of Wisconsin was one of the highlights of my life. And have a year there in that student body and enjoy the U.S. college atmosphere. And I mean, we averaged 13,500 fans. And then the following year, I went to Phoenix and we averaged 13,000. So it was a really special atmosphere at Wisconsin. So I wouldn't have changed anything from my 16-year-old year until I was turning pro.
Yeah, college is the best. I love it too, at least my
Super
experience.
awesome. Yeah.
And from your experience, like obviously being in all these leagues and these playing with these high level players, and I'm probably seeing a lot. What do you think truly separates the players who make it further from the ones who don't, even if they maybe have similar talent or other things?
I think it's a combination of things. I think, I mean, obviously, I think there's things that you can control and things you can't control. And I think obviously the things you can't control is the work ethic, and just being around a lot of kids now and coaching my own kids and just being in the minor hockey atmosphere. Um, some kids have just innate desire to play hockey and to work at it and not, mess around for 5 minutes and get off but like genuinely want to be on the ice and practicing and getting better and I mean, it doesn't just apply to hockey. It applies to, you know, once you find something you're passionate about and truly passionate about, you want to do it and you want to get good at it. And I feel like that's a key part of this is yeah, like the child has to have that. And then there's parts you can't control that, having the coach of this team give you an opportunity to play a lot and play not just a lot, but with the right players in the right situations. And I understand it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. I mean, you have to be good enough to be a first line center, but how do you know you're good enough to be a first line center before getting the opportunity to do that, right? So um, it's yeah, it's things you can't control or getting the opportunity, and then once you get that opportunity, you got to run with it.
Yeah, for sure. And for you personally, were there any specific like moments or decisions or habits in your career that created a big difference in your performance?
Um, I mean, there's a bunch of moments that had a real big impact on my career. The there's little things along the way that the brick tournament was a really neat experience for me. I remember very well. Quebec tournament was great. The Royal Bank Cup that we went through when I was 16 years old with the Express, winning that with the team that we had. The lessons I learned along the way with that as a rookie in the BCHL and learning from our veteran team and how to have success and what you need to do to achieve that. Um, there's a bunch of moments that you take things away from and I mean all the way till the end of my career. I mean that was happening when I was in Phoenix and learning from Shane Doan and in Ottawa from Daniel Alfredson and Jason Spezza and all the way through my career. You're constantly learning and taking in these moments that you can use to round yourself out as a person and as a player. Habits, I there's a ton of little things, right, that position you well to get to get opportunity. So you're always early for meetings. You're not late for meetings. You're first person on the ice, last person off the ice. And but I mean part of that is you have to have a desire to want to improve and enjoy hockey. Because then being the first person on the ice and last person off the ice isn't a chore or a job. It's just you genuinely enjoy doing it. Um, so I mean, there's these habits that you do over time and they accumulate. and puts you in the best position to have success because you improve, but people that are influential and are in positions to give you opportunities will be more likely to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think in my experience too, dealing with some athletes and maybe even myself, it's kind of mixing like A and B sometimes. Like doing those extra habits or those extra things for the sake of doing them doesn't really get you that far because it's not maintainable. You can't really be consistent with stuff like that unless you have that innate drive that you were kind of talking about as well. And so that like obsession and that genuine desire kind of comes first, and then like the effort and the habits are more like a side effect or a
Yeah,
byproduct of
no,
that
exactly.
drive.
And you can't teach that desire. It's just, and I think everybody has it. It just may not be hockey, which is completely fine. It may be in piano or in school or I mean, everybody has something, and it just takes some people longer to find it than others. And yeah.
Yeah. Was there ever a point in your journey where you felt stuck or overlooked or just a really difficult time? And if there was, like, was there something that helped you kind of move past it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every person has some obstacle or some time where you have to be resilient and help strengthen you as a person, and you take lessons away from it. And I had those as well. I had them in minor hockey. I had them in professional hockey. But I was very fortunate to have a real tight-knit supporting group. My mom and my dad were great. I talked to my dad before and after every game I ever played. Um, I had good friends that I could lean on, Patty Weirkosh being one of them that, he had gone through a lot of the same path and being able to talk openly and both ways, him support me and me support him. And so yeah, having people that are supportive that you can talk to is real important because it helps get you through tough times and makes it a lot more fun to enjoy the good times.
Yeah, I agree. At least relating back to my experience, I'm same as you. I kind of always calling and texting my dad before games, after games, and he loves it and he's involved with it and he's always there. And I think the support group is huge too. At least it made a big impact in my career and my development through hockey. So, um, yeah. And next question, getting a little bit deeper into things, picking your brain. If you were to start over or build a hockey player from scratch, and your goal is to take this hockey player as far as possible, um, what would you want them to know? Like, what would you want them to do week to week? Like, how would you build this player?
Um, yeah, that's an interesting question because my answer is probably not the norm for today's hockey because it's changed drastically since I came through. But I would first of all ask him if he wants to play hockey or her. Ask them if they want to play hockey because they may not want to. And I'd make sure that it's their dream and not mine. Um, and if they truly did want to pursue hockey, and I could tell they had that, innate motivation, I would start them skating as young as they found it exciting. So 2 or 3 years old, I'd put them on the ice once a week, just to go out and get comfortable on skates. Nothing more than that. And then as I got more comfortable on skates, I would start, going out on open ice with them and working on their stride and learning how to skate and I'd be doing all this as I mixed in other sports. So lacrosse, golf, soccer, basketball, football, everything, every sport. I'd have them playing or doing, and that may mean taking June, July, August off of hockey altogether. But that's great. That's perfect because that means they'll be less likely to burn out down the road and they'll be more excited when hockey time comes around. Um, and so yeah, I'd work with them. I'd express uh, and I'd understate how important it is to be a good person and how the lessons you learn through hockey are not uh, solely applicable to hockey, and that, working hard and being committed to your team and showing respect to your coach and being on time for team meetings and uh, learning how to work with teammates who you don't necessarily get along with. And all of these lessons you learn in the hockey bubble apply to regular life and school and a job that you'll eventually have, and make all these kind of links so that they understand that. And yeah, and I'd support them. I'd give them confidence, and I'd help them develop and find a way to have success. And um, yeah, I mean, it's so many people now focus just solely on hockey, and they lose sight of the bigger picture of, hockey is just a tool to teach people lessons in life, like any other sport is, and how to be a good person and how to contribute to society in a positive way. And some people are extremely fortunate and make a life out of doing that in hockey, but the mass majority aren't, but still take away the exact same lessons. And yeah, so it's the most rounded athlete, the most rounded person uh, gives you the best opportunity to make it the furthest in hockey.
Yeah,
So,
it's a great way to put it. And if to put another spin on it, if let's say a 17-year-old super serious player has that drive, has that motivation to become as good as he possibly can be, and he was looking for guidance on what he should be doing, for instance, the habits he should have, maybe um, what he should be doing on the ice, off the ice, like what would you be thinking of if you're like, this guy wants to go to the NHL? How can I bring him there, let's say?
well, at 17 years old, uh, if they want to make the NHL, they already have those habits.
There you go.
They, I mean, those habits don't start at 17. They're, the work ethic, the attention to detail, the understanding the game of hockey and seeing the ice. And there's, um, there's things that get taught at younger ages, that, once you hit a certain age, I mean, when you get to be, you know, 14, 15 years old and you need to start to solely play hockey, instead of doing all different sports. By the time you hit those ages, it's too hard to teach the how to see the ice, how to find open space, and because the play it's too fast at that point to teach those lessons that you need more time to do. And so a 17-year-old already has those kind of built in. But yeah, I mean, the all those things that you mentioned are keys, to taking a step to the next level. And yeah.
What do you think personally gave you an advantage over a lot of other players, like in the sport of hockey?
I think playing all different sports growing up gave me a big advantage. Playing lacrosse in the summers. I mean, I played football when I was 15 years old at St. Thomas More in high school. So playing a variety of different sports helped a lot. Having my dad as my coach was probably the biggest, had the biggest effect in, I mean, he played professional lacrosse for 16 years. He's in the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame. So he understands high level sport and how to develop. And from when I was 5 and 6 years old, he was teaching me how to read the ice and how to see the play and things that were next level, kind of all through growing up. And so I mean he having a very strong coaching slash supportive figure to help guide you, because I mean when you're young, you don't know what specifically to work on and how to do it. And he guided me through that. So I'd say that was probably the most significant um, yeah, piece that helped me achieve what I did.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Last question. If you were to give one piece of advice to like again a 16-year-old hockey player who was super serious and had that drive to go as far as possible, and is putting in the work, doing it what they believe is necessary, what kind of advice do you think you would want to pass down?
Just you know, the path is you don't have to turn pro at 18 years old. You don't have to make the NHL at 18 or 19 years old. And the path now of playing junior hockey until you're 20, and then college in the States or in Canada until you're 24, 25. I mean, it extends your pathway, and it allows you to become more uh, individually mature and physically mature, so that you're able to compete and have a better chance at training camps against 30 and 35-year-old men who see this as a job. It's their livelihood. It's how they make money. So it's a big wake-up call, being very young and going into that scenario where you're taking somebody else's job. And I mean, they might have a wife and kids that they're trying to support. And so it puts things into perspective in the sense that, now um, you can take extra time to develop and come into camp at 24, 25 years old, physically mature, to give yourself the best opportunity to make a team professionally. So just stick with it, see it as a process and a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of guys have a lot of different paths, and they peak at different
Yeah.
levels, and they get different opportunities at different levels. I remember for me personally, um, not to talk too much about myself, but when I was undrafted both years by like in the OHL, like I thought it was like the end of the world because like from being in Ontario, like at that age at that time, like not really many people were thinking about the college route or any other route, and it was like the OHL was like the only way to kind of become a good hockey player. And when I was undrafted twice, I was like devastated. I didn't think I was gonna have a hockey career, um, but obviously like sticking with it and having that drive and just kind of not refusing to stop in that way has led to me be on this path that I never thought was possible at that age when I was around 16 years old. So I'm definitely grateful for that too. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your insights and sharing your lessons and your journey. It was super cool for me to hear about it as well, and everyone else, and for everybody listening. I hope that this gave you a better look at what it actually takes to go far in the sport, and from perspective from a high level hockey player who's done it all. And if you got something from this, take a minute to reflect on how it applies to your development and your life, because that's the whole point of having this conversation. So thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mateo. Good luck with everything.
Thanks.